We're back
We're back.
on a Monday to talk about Law 16 of the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
Correct.
And Law 16 says, use absence to increase respect and honor. Too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and heard from, the more common you appear. If you are already established in a group, temporary withdrawal from it temporary withdrawal from it will make you more talked about, even more admired. You must learn when to leave. Create value through scarcity. Law 16, use absence to increase respect and honor. What do you got to say about it?
I think it's very true. I
Yeah.
think the application is perfect for it. I think Robert Greene is genius. Some of the laws, potentially are a little bit up for interpretation, although the meaning is there. But this is, like he does. It's right on the money. I agree with it wholeheartedly.
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was diamonds.
Okay.
Because I remember in high school, my teacher, Mr. Curiel, said, hey, did you guys know that diamonds are artificially scarce? And we're in high school kids and we're what? And he says, yeah, there's not a shortage of them. They're artificially scarce to keep the price up, the value higher. And even in that paragraph of, and then he went in further, since this is a material science class, and he says diamonds could actually be made. It's just carbon. So if you have extreme high pressure and heat, you can create a diamond. But it's not cost efficient, right? Effective. But it's
maybe
possible.
not back then, but I'll tell you, they're being synthesized today. I saw an article where there's a tremendous potential of the market being in an upheaval but we're getting off the track. But diamonds are able to be synthesized in a lab today, and it's not that costly.
Wow.
And it's the gentleman that was making the explanation was saying this could potentially
destroy the industry.
Well, it's gonna change the industry.
Yeah,
everything is changing as we speak.
Yeah, too much circulation makes the price go down.
Right.
So think of inflation that's occurring right now. Too much money circulating makes things makes the price of the dollar less valuable.
Right. So therefore things are more expensive.
Right. So if you have a shortage of things, when they say, there was one Ferrari of this model made, in the last year, or even like our buddy sent us that the Audi R8, they discontinued it.
Correct. The price went up automatically.
Yeah. And he's a huge car guy, and so he had picked one up knowing that this was probably going to happen.
Correct.
And so how have we seen this take place? How have you ever used it? I've used it. I've used absence to increase or to attempt to increase my respect and honor.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that I think it's also, you got to be take into account, if you're already established in a group, temporary withdrawal from it will make you more talked about, even more admired. But you have to already be established. So let's say you're trying to get in somewhere and all of a sudden you stop showing up. That, you're not known yet. There's no one's waiting for you. However, if you start being successful in a certain endeavor, and let's say you start releasing a podcast only once every month, for example, but it's quality and you're already somewhat established, then people know, I know to expect it once a month, and it's very valuable when it comes out.
And then you stop.
until the next month or something like that, right? Um, but what do you think? I mean, have you ever seen this in action?
Yes, I think it's, yes, I have.
Yeah.
You know, it can be applied in many areas, right? I'm thinking about family, okay? Because sometimes a family member can take another family member for granted
Sure.
because that family member is always there trying to help and go out of their way to help. And sometimes that's good and sometimes it's bad. That's why, or not necessarily bad, but not as good, if we can qualify things that way.
Maybe it's you're no longer valued
Yeah.
as much.
For example, I'll share something very personal with me. My father seldom told me that he loved me. I knew he loved me because of his actions. Okay, he went out of his way to take good care of me. But my father seldom told me, "Hey son, I love you." Now, I tell my 3 kids that I love them, and I use that very often, okay? And so some folks that potentially could be looking from afar would say, "Hey, you use that word so much that it diminishes in value." You know? I mean, you really don't have to tell someone that you love them, you know, every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. You know, I came out, I think, more like my mother. And so I tell my kids and my grandkids that I love them. And I throw that word out very often. And so sometimes I think, you know, do they really know what I mean? Because I use it so often.
Right.
I remember moving into a property one time that I was completely taken aback by the bathroom. I thought the bathroom was really, really nice. And I never thought that I would be able to own a place like that, in all honesty. And when I moved in, that bathroom looked great. It was large, expansive. The tile on the bathroom was absolutely beautiful. I mean, I really liked it, okay? Mirrors and so forth. And then with the onset of time, okay, the bathroom didn't hold the same value as in the first, let's say, 6 months or whatever. The luster,
Right.
it wore off. So you need to be very careful about that.
Yeah.
And I'm very keen on some of this stuff because sometimes, for example, even with family, you know, they may be saying something, but their body language is saying something different. And so I just think that Robert Greene is a tremendous writer. You can tell, right? I mean, I don't exactly worship the guy, but almost there, because
Well, he studied so many lessons in history,
oh,
and he's
just a
using
sponge absorbing everything. And if you really sit down and you try to figure things out, you know, there's so much to learn in this lifetime
yeah.
that it's practically impossible to even hit a, you know. So you're constantly learning.
It's very
At least I am. I mean,
yeah.
I know so little about so many things. You know, I get.
Well, it's powerful what you said, because you said you knew your father loved you, but he didn't say those words all the time,
Oh,
and
not-
so those words carried a tremendous amount of weight.
I don't remember my father telling me, "Hey, you know, I love you." That didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, I knew he loved me. And when we were separated because of communism, because of Fidel Castro, Fidel Castro did what he called mind games and stuff. He separated the family. And so I know that when he saw me, I think we were separated close to a year and a half, or just slightly under. And when he saw me, he just gave me the biggest hug, you know. But I don't remember him telling me, "Hey, son, I love you." You know, that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And maybe it has to do with the generation, Mike. That was a tougher, you know, tougher generation. We're softer now. You know, I think
Yeah.
softer and if not weak. We're weak, you know, and so
This was a generation that you're talking people born in the early 1900s
yeah,
went through. I mean, the life expectancy back then was probably. I mean, I'm guessing, but I know that a lot of people didn't even make it to teenage years.
Oh, yeah.
You had kids.
This was a tough generation.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad.
You know, you probably lived to 50 or something like that
Right.
in those
Yeah.
times, you know, 40 something, 50.
And you were not only mentally strong, but also physically strong.
You
I
had to
remember
be.
going up to my dad, even when he was in his late 80s, and he had powerful hands. And I would, you know, if I tried to mess with him, you know, he would grab me, and that was one heck of a grip,
Strong.
even back then at that age, or even
Yeah.
in his older. So they were physically strong and mentally strong.
Sure.
They were men of power. My dad never, I can't remember for the life of me, maybe once or twice or something. I can't remember him telling me, "Hey, son, I love you." And yet I say that a lot.
Right.
So, what was that old saying? You wear it out. Don't use it so often. You wear it out. Something like that. There was an old saying like that. And sometimes I really feel that there's a lot to that.
Yeah. Yeah. There. I would agree
Yeah.
because our words carry. Our words are powerful. I was even saying something the other day that I kind of threw out certain words. Oh, I was talking about Latino and Hispanic, and you know, those words mean something very particular, and to some people, or the definition of those words. And I was kind of in a conversation previously, or even on the podcast, throwing them out a little bit. But no, there's Hispanic and then there's Latino, and there's a difference, right, on what each one is. And, you know, the words we use are important.
The words we use are important because people give it importance.
Yes, it's the definitions and the way we let it affect us.
Yeah, and we can get carried away. Now, this is a podcast, a very friendly thing. We're not trying to define anything, and, you know,
No.
who knows? I mean, we're just talking, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes I feel that we get too carried away in delineating the difference between one and the other. You know, what is it? You're Latino, you're Hispanic. What? I mean,
Right.
you know,
Well, it's
who really truly gives a darn?
Well, some people do.
Some people
And that's
do,
the
and
thing.
more power to them. Okay,
Some people do. Yeah, I was kind of using them
I-
almost interchangeably, but it is important to know, I think, the definition of certain words or where they come from. But I hear you. Sometimes we take it too seriously. We don't take ourselves very seriously.
Look, I remember a while back I was following Patrick Bet-David pretty religiously. You know, there wasn't a podcast that he did that I would miss. Okay, and all of a sudden he says, "Hey," he announces to his followers, "We're going to stop for a period of time. We're going to regroup. We're going to look at things, and we may." I don't remember if he said we may come back or we'll come back even stronger than we are now or whatever. But it was a period of about, I don't know, I want to say 6 months, maybe a little bit less. But it
I think
seemed
like
like
3 months, if I remember.
it seemed like an eternity to me,
Right.
because I was following him. He brought a lot of value to a lot of the things that I was doing in business. I really liked the research that he was doing, and I think that he played this law marvelously.
Yeah, because he came back strong.
He came back strong, and I think he doubled his subscription. That's my idea. I have no proof of any of that, but I mean, I know that when he was gone, I wanted him back like quick, you know, and in that time, okay, I found somebody to replace him, which was pretty good too.
Right.
Right. And then he came back, and I was right back on him, and then later on I kind of like, you know, went in a different direction. He went out in a different direction.
Yeah.
Because he was a pure play on business for a period of time.
Yeah.
A lot of research on business, and I thought it was really powerful, the stuff he did. So
yeah, he's evolved, which I give a lot of credit to.
Correct.
But I agree with you. He used Law 16.
Oh, I have no doubt that he did, honestly.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of guts, because
oh yeah,
somebody could, you know, he could come back. That could have. It takes a lot of guts, because, like me, I found somebody to replace him, right? But when he came back, I went back at him.
Yeah, you need to, I think, be confident in what you bring to the table.
Self-assured.
Yeah. I'll share with you when I used it.
Okay, please.
In the life insurance world, right? I was being referred business, and so I would go into the offices to get referrals.
Uh-huh.
And there were some people that were housed in the office. And I was housed in one particular office, which was Mom's agency at the time.
Right.
And I was there all the time. And then in these other offices, I was only in there once a week. And actually, I guess I didn't really intentionally use it or anything, but I started to notice that these other offices that I would go and visit once a week valued my presence a lot more than the office that I was based out of, because I was there all the time. And so the way that it would work is, since I wasn't at these other offices all the time, they would see me, and they would welcome me with a smile. And I know Robert Greene says this in the law. He says, you want to be asked, Mike, where were you?
Why haven't I seen you so much? Those words are sweeter to my ears than, what are you doing here again? Or something like that.
Right. Oh, Mike, here you are again.
Here you are again, Mike.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to that. I was, wow. But I saw it in action. I saw it act out, because these other offices that would only see me once a week, and I always tried to bring something to the table, positive, and if we closed the deal, I would bring coffee for everybody. It was I would come in, like you say, I always want to give positive news. I always want to give good news. I would come in with always something good to bring, good news, or we just closed the deal, coffee for everybody, whatever. But it was always like I was greeted with a smile. And then I started to notice, the more I was in these other offices, the less I was valued there. So I started to go back to my, hey, I'm here once a week. And so I remember reading this and...
Well, it's very important. You can apply it to every area. I think in the book it's talking about it's talking about a relationship where the man is... he likes the lady, and the lady apparently liked him, but the minute that he divulged, well, that's another law.
No, well, no, it does what I think in pertaining to like dating or something.
Mm-hmm.
If you're courting a girl, absence,
yes,
if they write to you or if they reach out to you, you let a day go by, or you don't necessarily see them for a week. You let time
if
go
the phone
by.
rings and it's her, you just don't answer that call immediately, right? Oh my God, there she is. Ding.
What is it? Something makes the heart grow fonder. How does that saying go?
Distance? I don't know. No, I
Maybe it's distance makes the heart grow fonder. Space. But what I want to bring up is that I think it's super important, the piece where you have to be established in a group, and then learn when to leave.
right.
You can't just leave at any time. You create value through scarcity because, they're not here all that much. Let me make the most in a business setting. Let me make the most of their presence because they're not here all the time.
That's right.
And then being established means you have to already be like proven, and in my case I was proven that I was dependable and they were using me for business, for referrals. I wasn't being tested out. So I think that's really important if you're going to use this law, or if someone's using it on you, understanding that piece about being established is really important. If you're
agree.
testing somebody out and all of a sudden they stop showing up, you're gonna stop. I'll tell you this. Recently, somewhat recently, I sent a piece of business. We sent a piece of business to our particular person as a referral, and then I wasn't hearing from the person that I sent the business to, and I'm testing this person out because it's the first time I send them business, and they are scarce. They're not around that much. They're not in contact with me that much. And so I'm not a big fan of it because we're not established. We've never worked together. This is the first time. And so I think in this situation, if they're using, let's say, the idea of being scarce, I don't think it's working because I'm not a fan of it. And I don't know if it's going to work out or not with this person. But anyways, I just thought that was a recent situation. I don't think it's being used, let's say, if they're doing that in the best way. You have to be responsive. You have to be in touch with people until you establish yourself, at least.
I agree. Well, there's a fine line. You want to be reliable.
Yeah.
You want to be consistent. You want to let people know that they can count on you. That, for example, when I give my cell phone out to a client, I sometimes in the course of the conversation I say, well, if you need to reach me, the best way to reach me is using the cell. Give me a call because I answer my cell religiously. I gotta be honest with myself and with everyone. Sometimes a call comes in, I look at it, and I choose not to answer that call right there immediately.
Right.
Okay? Not all the time is for making myself scarce, but sometimes I judge the amount of time that I need with that particular person because I know that person's going to spend a lot of time.
Right.
And if I'm running into a meeting or if I'm, but where, let's say 10 years ago, and traditionally, my phone rings, I look at it and I answer it.
Yeah.
Now, my phone rings and, I always answer it. And even when I don't answer it immediately, one of the things that I tell the people I work with is, you're going to get a call back on the same day. I will call you back on the same day. That's a guarantee I give you. Unless you call me after 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or something like that, then you may get a call the following day. But I usually, even when people call me at 9 o'clock at night, I usually, I'm there.
Yeah.
And, there's something to be said about having that value, right? But if you're too much in somebody's face, for sure, they're going to end up taking you for granted at some point.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, if you're too available.
If you
I've been in that. What I want to say about that though is that, just like you said, you return the calls. You're religious about returning calls.
yes,
Because you want to. I think you want to closure on certain things, and just
for sure.
you don't leave things open.
No.
So even though maybe you don't answer it right then and there, or whatever the case, you do return it.
Right. And so I do. I don't like when I call someone that's involved in a business deal with me
Yeah.
and they don't, I leave a message and they don't call me back. That to me is not good.
It's not professional.
It's
If we're
a
talking
reflection.
business setting.
Right. So that's if you're doing that on purpose to be scarce, it won't work with me.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to read the subject as well.
Right.
You got to read the person. I also, early on in my career in the financial services world, I would even joke about it. I'd say, you call me, I'll answer. Even if I'm in the bathroom, I'll answer. And I would answer and I had no control of my time.
Well,
and
that's
it's
another
almost,
thing.
it's a little disrespectful also to, I mean, I remember being in an appointment face to face like this. I would get a call, you know what, I'm in an appointment, can I call you back? That's how much I would answer the phone, because I wanted to be dependable. But I do think it gets to a point where it is a little extreme. You're having dinner with your spouse, partner, you're spending time with family.
I won't
whatever.
answer.
You gotta.
I will do it later.
Yeah, because then you lose control of your time.
Yes.
And that's one thing that I think we have to. It's a balance, right?
That's interesting because today I met with a friend of mine. His name is Fabian, and I was talking to him because he's made a career change into a new business. And I was talking to him, and this came up. I'll share it. One time, because in the beginning of my business, when God created the heavens and the earth, because I've been, 40 years in the insurance business, I had my cell phone on my business cards for 25 years or something like that, until my daughter said, you should take your cell phone off and give it only to certain people. And I agreed with her, and I took my cell phone off the business cards. But I remember getting a phone call one time at 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
From a client. He actually woke me up. And I talked about this today. It's interesting. And the client was upset because his insurance policy had gone down in price. So he calls me at 1:30 in the morning, wakes me up. He says, hey, what did you do to the policy that the policy went down in price? What kind of coverage did you take away? What did you do? And I was so upset, but I kept my cool. And the only thing that I remember doing was, I tell you what, I'm not quite sure right now, it's 1:30 in the morning, but first thing tomorrow morning, I will look at your policy and I'll make it go right back up to the price that it was before. And right there and there, the man realized, and he said, oh, you know what? Leave it alone. I just want to, let's talk tomorrow, but I'm sorry I woke you up. And I said, no. First thing tomorrow, I will look at it and I will make it go up to the price that it was before. And he said, no. Hey, listen, Pablo, I know you're upset now. Let's talk tomorrow. And then I couldn't regain my sleep for a couple hours because he got me going. And so when you're dealing with the public,
yeah, brace yourself.
Brace yourself, because there are some people out there that potentially have no respect for you.
Yeah.
And so they'll treat you in a disrespectful manner, and if you don't put your foot down, they'll clean the floor with you.
Right.
I've had that happen.
And
I've had that happen to me.
And the other side of it is that if you treat people with respect in the service fields, I'm thinking restaurants or any customer service, banking, whatever, you can get so much more done.
Oh.
Is my opinion and belief. Versus creating un escándalo, a mess, and this and that, and complaining. Because who wants to help a complainer?
Nobody.
No one wants to help them, but maybe sometimes you have to complain to get something done. But I think you need to use that with scarcity too. You can't be the complainer every time.
No.
In my opinion.
Well, I agree. I mean, look, it's all about the energy that flows within you and out you, okay? Because this life, if you stop to think about things without getting too philosophical, we're here for a very short period of time. And if you look at if you just step out for a second and get out of your way, put your ego aside for a moment. In reality, we're here just for a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So you should make the best that you possibly can out of every single hour, not every single day, every single minute. Okay? And if you're complaining all the time, and that's the energy you give out, people will evade you. Yeah. They will go in a different direction.
Yeah.
Okay? And
sure, because it rubs off, and people realize that, and they don't want to be around that for the most part.
Of course.
Especially
you're unpleasant.
I'm thinking in a business setting. With family, sometimes you want to help that person, but you have to be careful. But in a business setting, you got that customer that's always complaining and always... the moment they walk into that building, nobody wants to help them.
Right.
They have that reputation.
For example, I've had occasions where I've needed to be persistent on a matter.
Sure. We're going to do a podcast about one situation soon.
That one situation with Verizon. We're going to talk about it. But I make it a point to, the minute that I'm able to figure out a different angle, I try to do that. Because the last thing I want is for someone to look at me parking in the parking lot, and before I walk into the place say, oh my God, there's that guy again.
Right.
I don't want that. Now,
I've heard you in some of the instances with Verizon, and you're always respectful.
Yes.
So you don't cross that line, but some people do.
Yeah, well, the law says create value through scarcity.
Yeah.
Okay? It says, increase your absence to increase respect and honor. Okay? So it's powerful.
It's powerful.
If you're in somebody's face all the time. I mean, there was this lady that I had hired, and God bless her, she took care of my mom, and she was the sweetest thing in the world. But I remember her trying to help so much that at one point I would say, okay, I think I got it now. Let me, she wanted to help so much. Yeah. And I knew that I needed to be careful because she was genuinely loving. And so you don't want to hurt a person's feeling. So you got to play it. You got to be careful.
You got to read the other person.
You got to read the other person, so as you don't... Because, what's the point?
Right.
And then there are some people out there that I have seen that they enjoy making the life miserable of other human beings. I would think that they enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they come out right out of the box, 10,000 miles an hour, and it's extremely unpleasant.
I think I agree. I think maybe to wrap it up, a little homework is we can think of different situations where when we see a particular person, we look at our reaction and say, am I greeting this person like, oh, it's so good to see you, it's been so long, where have you been? Or how are people greeting us? Are they greeting us with that? Or is it, here he is again, she is again?
I agree. And the thing that keeps coming back to my mind is family.
Yeah.
Because, family is very important to me. So I'm in their face a lot. And we happen to be connected. You know, we see each other a lot because of the things that we do together.
Yeah.
You know, you got a family business, you got kids, you got this and that, so you get to see each other a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and I hope I don't get in trouble with this, but sometimes the words that are spoken do not jive with the body language of that person. Okay? I'm no fool. I can read the body language and it doesn't match the words that are coming out of your mouth, like in 48 hours. And you read every word that's coming out of my mouth? You understand every word that's coming? So what's coming out of your mouth...
Rush hour.
Rush hour, excuse me. What did I say?
48 hours.
Oh, 48 hours.
That's another good one.
Jesus. Yeah, but rush hour. You know, so what's coming out of your mouth doesn't match the body language that I'm interpreting your body language completely different.
Right.
And that happens a lot. And so that's also a turning point for me to say, okay, I got to back off, you know? And
that's smart of you to see
with
that,
family.
To see that.
It happens with family. Like you and I.
Anybody.
You and I are together a lot. We got businesses together.
Yeah.
We doing marketing together. We're doing social media, podcasts, this, that, real estate, all our offers. We're together a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to make it work, you know?
Absolutely. Any relationship, partnership,
yeah,
you have to be intentional, like our friend Marta says.
Marta. Be intentional, Marta. Yeah, I've used that word like...
All right. Anything else you want to throw in before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's good, you know. The law, it's
Law 16.
Law 16, an incredible law.
If you liked it, check out the description, because for those listening, we have all the laws that we've done up to 16 in the description, and we'll be back on Monday for another law.
Create value through scarcity.
Only Mondays.
Only Mondays.